Let's talk about reflections, specifically the ones that can appear in a subject's glasses, like this one right here. Subtle reflections might not be too distracting, but if they start to obscure your talent's eyes, it can become incredibly distracting for the viewer. Or maybe that's just me. As a director of photography, you'll film a lot of people who wear glasses. And trust me, they'll be wearing different types of glasses of various shapes, sizes, and coatings. All of these variables affect how you'll need to place your lights. In this video, I'll share 3 of the techniques that I use which will help you reduce or even eliminate distracting reflections when filming interviews and piece to cameras. Use large diffuse light. If you were to use a small diffuse light or a hard light, you will get much more distracting reflections in your talent's glasses. Not to mention, you'd also cast a hard frame shadow onto your talent's face. A large diffuse light wraps around the talent's face more, allowing you to better position the light where there'll be no reflection in the glasses, whilst still getting good exposure and shape. My go-to modifier for interviews is a 90cm light dome. It offers me great balance between softness and portability, fitting in most locations that I typically film in. If I need a slightly larger source, I pop an additional sheet of larger diffusion in front of the light dome to create an even larger, softer source of light. Moving your key light to the side of your talent can be a really good way to reduce reflections. By positioning your light more off axis, you make it so that your light isn't in the direct view of your talent's glasses. This creates a much smaller chance of reflections appearing in their glasses when the talent moves their head as they talk. This technique works really well with a large diffuse key light. With a small diffuse key light, this can create more contrast across your talent's face, as the light won't wrap around the face as much. So you'll probably need to use a bounce or a fill light to lift the shadows depending on the look that you're after. Adjusting the height of your light can help mitigate reflections in glasses as well. By raising the height of your light, you can change the angle of reflection so that the source is no longer visible in your talent's glasses when they're looking at the camera. Just be mindful not to raise your light so high that you lose the catch light in your talent's eyes, or start to create any unwanted shadows or weird light refraction on the face caused by the talent's glasses. In addition to your key light, here are a couple of other things that you need to keep in mind when lighting someone who wears glasses for interviews. Glasses reflect whatever's directly in front of them, so keep an eye out for any sources of light in front of the talent. A busy exterior looking window or set of bright overheads can create really distracting reflections. If you can't reposition your talent, you can use overhead diffusion to deal with any overhead house lights and a solid to block windows. Remember, every light that you add is a potential new reflection. If I want to lift the exposure on the fill side of the face, I like to use a large reflector. And if I require more level, I'll bounce an additional light into that reflector or up into the ceiling and dial the intensity till I'm happy with where the contrast ratios are. This is a great option if you want to increase the exposure on the fill side of your subject's face without having to point another light in their direction, reducing the chance of another reflection appearing in their glasses. I love using tube lights for their versatility, but the reflections they can produce in glasses can be a real pain. Their long, narrow shape creates very obvious and unflattering looking reflections, and in some cases, the reflections can even cover their eyes completely. So I tend to only use tube lights as either a hair light or background light. These are the techniques that I use to mitigate reflections in glasses. It's not always possible to remove reflections completely, but by using these 3 techniques and keeping an eye on your environment, you'll be able to significantly reduce how distracting they are. How do you go about dealing with reflections? I'd love to hear your go-to techniques down in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, and if you want to see more content like it in the future, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and until next time, don't forget to hit record.